Poor dating advice from friends and even parents that we mustn't learn and ignore is a conversation we are having here with you today. And Barbara, before we left to go on the break, you and I were agreeing that playing hard to get is not always wise.
Yes.
And I was sharing with you that sometimes, especially when you hit a particular age of seriousness, you don't want to play silly games, especially when you meet a candidate worth your while.
Yes.
All right. And I gave the story about Doug, who gave Kamala a whole schedule months down the road so that she would decide and see if her time would fit his.
And she was available to meet him.
Na wakafanya hiyo harusi na wakawana. I think they dated for a few years. Is it a year? A year, and then they proposed and then they got married. Your perfect match is out there is another advice that I don't like.
You don't think that's true?
No.
Why?
This isn't true. Human family has many deficits, Barbara. We all have our pitfalls and our shortcomings. And to think that there's a perfect person or a perfect
You don't
partner.
think my soulmate is out there?
Nope. The perfection we crave merely exists in our heads, Barbara. All right? Find instead somebody whose flaws you can stomach. I think that would be a better advice.
Do you want to repeat that? Because I can't believe it's come out from your mouth.
No. Find somebody whose flaws you can stomach. I say that all the time on this show, Barbara.
You know, you have 79 lists or 7 attributes.
That's why
you
I
are
keep
looking for a woman.
reducing. I reduce them, and I keep reducing. Adhiambo was laughing at me yesterday.
She's even laughing wherever she is right now.
Yes, but
She's
but the point I'm trying to make is this, Barbara. I think the ideal person, what we like to say a perfect match, is just somebody whose contours of your needs are met because of their deformities or their problems. You can stomach their problems.
Yes, you
Say
can
if they
stomach their
chew
nonsense.
badly, you're just like, all right, that's my poor, badly chewing bae.
I think, Eric, when we say my perfect match is out there, my soulmate, we don't mean that they're perfect in all attributes. We just mean what you're saying. It's just maybe our language is off, that this is a person who will accept me for who I am, my flaws, my weaknesses, and my strengths.
But some people take it literally. Some people take it literally and they go out into the world looking for a perfect somebody. Because let me tell you,
there's none who's perfect.
Let me tell you what I've learned. Now, the woman I really would want does not exist. She lives in my mind.
Oh, I could give you a hug right
No,
now.
it's true.
I'm so happy.
No,
you know that.
No, it's very true. So, so you know, sometimes I think in my mid-20s I'd write long lists that I've shared with you. So I wanted this woman with a flat tummy, and she had to have the right skin tone, and her skin wasn't breaking.
With
good diction, and
nice set of
properly
teeth.
aligned teeth that are clean and white. And then she read in her free time and jogged in her other free time.
Ooh.
And she'd eat things like cauliflower and broccoli.
As someone called them yesterday, baby trees. In a group I was cooking baby trees. I'm like, hey.
You know, and then maybe she's given to wild adventures and knowing what's happening in Tibet and Himalayas and opining on Kamala and so on and so forth. But that woman lives in my mind.
Yes.
Okay? There is only two ways about it. One, I can be very lucky to meet her, which is really unlikely. Or two, I could meet somebody whose flaws I can stomach and hopefully
mold her or have her.
No, molding is a wrong word. Molding, hey, huko ukienda ni matanga. Or hopefully she'd be agreeable enough, all right? Agreeable enough to be persuaded into buying into some ideas.
You look like you want to change someone.
I don't want to change anybody.
You look like you want to change someone.
She's
you
agreeable
You
enough.
need to know that she might also not be agreeable but have some attributes.
That's why I'm saying if
Okay.
she were agreeable enough to want to maybe... It's the same way, Barbara, you know, there are men who wear crazy colors.
Yes.
Like somebody say it's super dark-skinned and they wear maroon, indigo, green. And you're thinking, my goodness, didn't the wife tell them something? But the wife is thinking, if only you had my advice about the colors to wear.
Yes.
So you see, you'd want somebody who's agreeable.
And also sometimes there's a theory women say that if you actually go an extra step to clean him up, to style him up, someone else will notice him. Acha tu wazimu wako akaivyo. Yeah, you keep him the way he is.
Yes.
So another thing, Eric, I feel that we have been misled as ladies is like we have been told love is conditional, and we grew up thinking that love is a tool that we can use for manipulation. It's like a weapon that us women use to control men, and that story is false.
Yes.
We need to stop thinking like that. We need to stop thinking that because so-and-so loves you or so-and-so is into you, you can string them along and they become your puppet. At some point, that will not happen. It could happen, and it has happened for a couple of months or seasons, but the day that person opened their eyes, woe unto you, things will change.
Yeah. So you reckon your advice ni bogus?
Yes. Love is not conditional, and most of all, we're being told it's a tool that you can use to weaponize this man or to manipulate. Love, you should not be manipulating someone if they love you or if you love them.
Yeah, that I agree with that 100%. What are your thoughts about this conversation? What is the advice your mom or dad or even your friends have given you that you used to hold so dear, but now all of a sudden you're like, get out of here, get out of here. We want to hear all of that as we go along. And remember, the adults in the room is with you all the way to 10 o'clock. And we are lining up a wonderful guest to just opine on this conversation. It's going to be a party. You want to hang in to know who it's going to be. And also just, I guess, if we are nice to him, he might just take your questions.
Spice.
Good evening to you, and thank you so much once more for choosing Spice FM. I mean, look at you just hanging out with Barbara and I, chilling, enjoying yourself. Where are you listening in from? And what are your thoughts so far about the conversation? If you're joining us, Karibu Sana, we have been talking about poor dating advice that our friends and even family members, including parents, have given to us, and that we must unlearn and discard. And, I was telling you before the break that we sought the advice of one of our gwijis, local and global gwijis here in Nairobi, to just share his mind about this conversation. And now, with your permission, let me introduce Mr. Benjamin ZULU, who is a life coach. He's a counseling psychologist and soon to be a doctor. He's doing his PhD. This guy is serious. He knows many, many things. Karibu sana, Bwana Benjamin ZULU. Can you hear me good? How are you?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much for finding time to, just join us and hang out with us. We are the adults in the room. A quick introduction. My name is Eric. I'm hanging out with the Duchess of Ikolomani. Her name is Barbara Mbaka. So together here, we make the adults in the room, which is a show really that deals with everyday issues of relationships, money, and sex. So it's really nice that you could find time off of your busy schedule to just hang out with us. So first,
nice to hang out with you guys.
Yes.
And Barbara, pleasure.
Pleasure to meet you too, sir. So first things first, we grow up into homes, into communities and societies, and we are taught things, all right? So you hear your mother saying this and that about men who you should marry or women who you should marry. And some of these advice, when you start doing life and become an adult, you realize that, goodness me, it's not as nilivyo dhani ndivyo sivyo, So I was telling my colleague here that life doesn't happen in a straight line. And I was sharing the story of Kamala Harris, who got married way into her late 40s. And that is not a story that a lot of people would be excited about in this side of the world. People would frown and call you all manner of names, including spinster. So in your view then, how do we handle these advices that we are given, that as we grow up, we discover, surely this is not how life goes, eh? Especially from a parent.
All right. So, Eric, today alone, I had two cases. One was advised by her auntie. The other one was advised by the colleague of the mother who brought her to the university. So they were advised that you came to the university to get a degree and a partner. So come out of here with 2 degrees. You hear that narrative alone. And
yes, we do.
Transferred by parents. I have been a strong advocate, and I'm conducting a research currently because what I've been researching on is from my own experiences now, observations, and many people resonate with the rule, the principle that before people are 25, especially ladies, they don't know what they shall become. They do not know. I kept observing the problem that women who become anything in society, most of them are either not married or divorced.
True.
And so the first wrong advice is come out of the university with 2 degrees. Those people are passing on to you what I call the philosophy of failure.
Yes.
Inspired by fear. You're surrounded by the most single guys at this time, This is a place where most guys are single, they're not taken. They mean well, but they're so misinformed. Yes. And Eric and Papa, you might realize that not everybody who means well for you knows what you need.
That is true. That is true.
you see a kid who's 5 years old saying, Mom, I love you, oh, Dad, I love you, but when you're in sorrow, they can't help you. They love you, but they don't have the capacity to help you. Many of our parents love us, but they don't have the capacity to give us what we need.
Yes.
So the principle behind university dating is that you don't know what shall become. All of you are in formative stages. Number two, you don't know enough. Your brain is not mature enough to identify red flags. Everything looks pink and lovely. A guy who is controlling and over your space looks like he's very concerned and present. A girl who is erratic and has emotional storms. Eric, welcome to Storm. We are
that dangerous.
It's not just lava that erupts.
Yeah.
I have heard girls who swing and they are so insecure and possessive. But because you're naive, and Eric, I want you to tell your friends that if you see a guy who's working and is going to look for a girlfriend in university, two things. Either he's very confused or very manipulative. They're going for those young ones who are naive, who cannot see the red flags. So the first wrong advice is that come out of university with a partner. The second wrong advice you will hear very frequently is that wait, he will change. Vumilia.
Hey, they never.
Barbara knows.
Yes, I've gone through it.
So today I talked to one young man who told me how the girl is cheating, how the girl is unstable. From the time they got the kid, okay, the guy is a graduate, but he said he had this advice that education doesn't matter, all matters is love. So he got a girl who finished one, got a D plus, a D or something. That's not a bad thing on its own. I'm talking about the compatibility between the two of them. Okay? So this guy goes philosophical. One mistake young people make is to become activists when they're choosing a partner. And politically correct, you know, and borrowing notions they hear in media or on the internet. It doesn't matter. Love is everything. It's not about money. It's not about education. It's not about social class. It's about love. You dummy. Those things affect the connection.
Yes, they do. Thank you.
So this guy went on to date this girl, and she got pregnant. They started living together, and that's when he saw drama. The girl became so erratic, and Eric, I want you to observe it. If you have your friends who are dating pre-25, I want you to go and record the following on your own quietly. Use them as a guinea pigs experiment, because even if you advise them, they won't hear you. Those girls who are under 25, you try to date them, they are overwhelmed by small things. They behave erratic and inconsistent. They behave childish. You feel overwhelmed having to explain obvious things.
Ni watoto sana Zulu. Hiyo hata naonaga daily. Yes.
My friend came in the box to ask me, now this morning she packed and left. I told her, my friend, can you take that chance to escape? What are you doing there? She's already shown you that she's a trouble in a package. So one advice we get is wait, she will change, reconcile. And I want to warn you, Barbara, siku ingine ukiona clan mbili zimeketi ziamue kesi yako na huyu jamaa itimurudiane, toroka.
Yes, they say it's a cycle. If you're not careful, you're just going to be repeating the cycle over and over.
They think gathering a clan brings any benefit. There is no benefit at all. The only times you can get a restraint is if a guy was beating you up physically, by which I think you should not even be with him. And then he's warned and threatened by the family, and he stops beating you physically, but he continues abusing you, emotionally disrespecting you. Somebody can swing from abusing you to loving you. I don't know who will tell people this.
Yes.
By the time you cross the border to disrespect me and to hurt me intentionally, that thing is irrevocably.
Emotion.
Yes.
Exactly. Love and respect are on the one end. Disrespect and abuse are on the other hand. You cannot swing from one end to the other. By the time you reduced me in your sight so much as to disrespect me outright, to beat me up, some people, Eric, some people are not malicious, they are addicted. So that they mean well, but they'll kill you with stress. They are addicted to alcohol, addicted to gambling, addicted to sex, addicted to something, and they keep crying. Oh, I fell again. Barbara, ile siku jamaa atakwambia ndio unamwelewa duniani peke yako.
Uongo.
Bwana Zulu, thank you so much. I like where the conversation is headed. So in your view, just to, if I may digress a little bit, would you say from your assessment, people who are older would tend to be better coupled than people who are younger, even in terms of marriage. Would they fare better in marriage? Say if a woman were 37 and met a guy who was 45, would those fare better than their 20-year-old counterparts?
I have not seen a relationship between, from the point, the age has factored before people mature mentally. Girls mature 25, men also, the prefrontal cortex, this is biological, this is not something I'm plucking from the air. The prefrontal cortex, that is the part of your brain that reasons objectively, matures at 25.
Yes.
But men have another cycle to go after 25, called exploration cycle, where they find it difficult to settle with one woman.
And when does that stop?
The average man, some will never stop, but the average boys take 5 years. So the average men are stabilizing at 30, ready to settle with one woman. You can arrest him with a baby, you can find a way to trap him, to tie his leg earlier, but he will torment you with his explorations and flirting. There are still men who are flirting and exploring at 50, don't get me wrong. But 25 to 29, most men are exploring. And those who are not club type, the church type, is preaching and doing cases and very wildly doing those. They are not ready yet. Even financially, they don't have discipline. Okay, it's not about money. Some get money and they use it now to party well. So what I can say about age is the following: you're supposed, the prime age ideally is as soon as you're prepared mentally and financially as a man. As a woman is when you are mentally prepared and socially ready to migrate, because there's a migration for them.
Yes.
And the dynamics are different, Eric. There's one of these days we'll bring that conversation, midlife dating. It is so different dynamics because people have an experience by the time they date midlife. Many are carrying baggage and trauma and rejection and recovery and wounds. And there are women who are virgin at 48. I've met them. They have just been passed under the radar.
Yes.
They never dated, especially the clean church girls. It's like their mothers. Dating is very visual, and many of them ignore that principle. They continue dressing from top to bottom. They look taken. Men don't want to offend. Eric, tell me this. We have no one telling you single.
Yes.
We can't go poking and checking on everyone. You've been insulted twice and you coil. So if a woman wants me to talk to her, wants her to, you should dress in a manner that suggests I am in season. This is my season. I'm in the market. So many girls reach there. So Eric has met women who are mid-40s or somewhere there, and it's not out of something they did, it's something they did not do. Sins of omission. They are more common than sins of commission. Okay? So good people don't do something bad. They fail to do something right. Okay?
All right.
They fail to flip mentally. So I have not found a correlation. In fact, when you're talking about blended, when people are dating meet like they are children, those people they bring another dynamic. Or they blend. How will you treat my children? Is there fairness, parenting style? Some children are losing their position. They were the first one. Now they had another older one. They're losing that one. Another one was the last one, getting all the attention. There's another one you're trying to get. You get another baby. No. There are other dynamics the children are going on midlife. Okay? And sometimes they strain the relationship. They strain it. And I want to, Barbara, I want you to warn your friends who are trying to pray for baby boys.
Yes, those ones are dangerous, especially if you're trying to date.
Difficult to raise. Those are difficult to raise. Generally, men are hard to raise. Go check in the families at home. Where men are the majority, there's a lot of strife. There's a lot of conflict. They marry, they bring their women, the women start fighting again. So these people keep asking for baby boys. That's not the topic today, but to tell you, many times you're going to meet when people are blending and they are children. They are boys, they are girls, the dynamics are different, Eric. And what I can correlate here is to say, better to find the ideal is to find the right partner before you go through trauma and fear.
I like that you brought the conversation there. The ideal is to find the right partner before you go to trauma and fear. And it ties really well with what we are talking about, dating advice and that we receive from friends and family members. Also, Zulu, with your permission, as we go along, I would like you to speak slightly about socially migrating from a woman's perspective. You mentioned that. I wonder what that looks like. But we are going on a short break now. When we come back, I want to hear your mind about socially, how a woman is required to socially migrate before she can settle. because I don't think I've ever had that. I'd want you to opine on that a bit some more. If you're joining us, Karibu Sana, we are joined by Benjamin ZULU, who is a life coach and counseling psychologist, soon to be a doctor. He's just wounding up on his PhD. He's a smart brother, just as adults would get you. Tuwezi tafuta mtu shagara bagara. Tunaenda ndani, alafu tunakuja na Benjamin ZULU. Thank you so much for again choosing 94.4 Spice FM. We are on with Benjamin all the way to 9 o'clock. So 15 minutes of gem after gem after gem. If you're joining us, Karibu, just hold tight. We have more coming your way.
Spice.
We've been joined by a brother who is doing great things. His name is Benjamin ZULU. And Benjamin ZULU is a life coach and a counseling psychologist. He's joined us to try and make sense of the conversation we're having today, at least from an academia point of view, all right? So that we don't just talk from a layman point of view. And if you're joining us, we've been talking about poor dating advice from friends and even parents that we must unlearn and ignore in the quest to have healthy relationships. Benjamin, again, thank you so much for your time. Before we went on the break, I was sharing with you that you said something I think you need to expound on. You're saying that men need to be ready. Some of them are ready by the time they're 30. Others need a little more time. But you said something about women, that women need to socially migrate. What does that look like?
That means acquiring another set of relatives.
All right.
In what ways?
And I want to warn girls. These girls will start marriage by moving in. Eric, I wish I can get a whip to whip every woman living with a man who has not yet married her.
I'll be your assistant on that.
Wasting. Oh my God. You don't start by moving in. Start by checking where you're migrating to. Eric, migrating, social migration means you transfer, literally carry your things to another people. Okay? The man brings you in, you are imported, but he doesn't move. He acquires, okay, your people also become his in-law, but physically you move to where he is. That means you need to move as a woman first to go check where you're going to, the climate you're coming to see how are receptive or hostile it is, and adjust accordingly. Negotiate before you sign the deal. Tutaishi wapi? How are children there named? Because you can be perfect for each other, but for failure to do background check on where you're migrating to, mother-in-laws can ruin relationship, father-in-laws can ruin relationship.
True.
There are women who forget that there's another people coming with all this. Then you get pregnant and you move him. I hate that pattern because I know where it ends up to.
What would you say to a woman who thinks that the marriage is just about him and her? That
She's stupid. Let me tell you something. Eric, let me tell you.
Yes.
We need to pick people. And they keep coming to our inbox. I tell them, from the moment you bid farewell to your common sense, nobody can rescue you, my friend.
Yeah.
The most important skill in life is the ability to think straight in all circumstances.
What about these men?
Don't start in the bedroom. Negotiations are done in the boardroom. The moment you go to the bedroom, your thinking gets clouded. You know, your reasoning is away. And that's why I tell college kids, you don't know what you're dealing with. Love is a labyrinth. You needed to have solid identity and a financial background. Can you imagine this girl who is both broke and heartbroken? So you can't be both broken. Choose one struggle. Now the guy was giving you fair, you came and found that he was another woman. Now you are broken, you're waiting for him to give you fair to go back because you're disappointed. What's wrong with you? So the thing is here is, Eric, the solution number one is to say, you must first check to whom you're moving to, not just the man, but the relatives, because they can make or break the union.
Yeah.
Okay. And does not mean that if you find that my mother is a witch, you refuse to marry me. You are going to check how I'm organizing to make sure that we have a peaceful life despite my mother being a witch, because there are women who are witches.
Yes.
I come from Kitui, I should know.
You wanted to ask about men?
You talked about, when you're talking about social migration and you doing the background check as the woman or negotiating where you're going or where you want to go, the issue of standards comes to play, because there are certain standards maybe you're used to, or there are certain standards you want. And we're in a society where when ladies raise up the standards and say my standards were X, Y, Z, men actually just go like, they want to throw them out of the window. What are your thoughts about that? women and our standards. Should that come to play when we're negotiating? Or I'm doing the social migration?
In fact, insist dating should progress in the following rough in this progression without skipping. There is one that is called charming. Charming is before you find anyone, make sure your light is always on. Barbara, I can't see you, but I want you to always put your lady light on. Don't switch it off, okay?
Yes.
And number two, once you find someone, you familiarize without getting into a relationship. Some people confuse this. They say, I gave him a chance. Giving him a chance means you start some kind of a relationship. Then if it doesn't work, you break up again. Your heart gets fragmented into small pieces by the time you find the one.
What does familiarizing entail?
Familiarizing means you have conversations to know who you are dealing with. The stage 3 is called role playing. Imagine I became your woman. How would it feel like? Act like his woman before you become his woman. Meaning, accompany him on trips, do what you want, try to show up when he has events, to see how he will treat you. The moment you realize there's no boundaries, there are women all over him. He's flirting with everyone. He's not consistent. He doesn't communicate. Check this girl if she became your woman, how she would behave. The moment you realize she doesn't flow with what you wanted for a woman, even before you sign, even before you introduce her as a girlfriend or anything, you check role playing. Stage 3 is called bait and switch. This is applicable mostly for women. Because of how you are becoming very easy. Maybe he's relating with you because you are very available. You pull back to see whether he's serious, whether he's committed, whether he's ready to take the jump and commit. Pull back, stop being available. See whether you run after you.
But Zulu, how important is it that couples are psychologically aligned and even in their values? You know, you hear it thrown around that they must come from this clan or they must come from this family. Are those things very important today?
Things are important if you give them importance. One of the warning I want to give young people, today we are growing in a very integrated society. We go to the university, we need to mix with all tribes.
Yes.
But some of our parents grew up in a very segregated manner. They think a tribe is another country, is another people. So they prohibit, hapa kwangu wakuolewi kabila fulani. If you agree with your parents and you drop your partner because of the kabila and all that, you regret and you live bitter. Finally, you'll end up bitter with the same parents because you marry now another person other than the one you loved at first. And you start feeling like that, this can't work. You'll be regretting. So the moment your parents stand their ground and say you can't marry so they're declaring war against you, not against that other tribe. Okay? A wise parent will advise but leave you to make your own choices. There are some parents who believe a certain community produces people who are funny, people are this way, and all that. Advise me and let me make my own decision. So the moment you begin to believe that there's a tribe that produces this or that, and then you'll be miserable. And I have enough cases. I'm the one doing the body count. What goes wrong when people behave like this? So it doesn't matter at all in our day-to-day. It's how today, Eric, you might have noticed how hard it is to meet a person whom you think alike, connect alike, willing to talk, have conversations, do life together. It's so hard.
Yes. It's easy to find someone to sleep with, but not one to do life with.
Yes. Finally, when you have met that one, Barbara, then your mom says, "Apa kwangu." Really?
So what's your advice then in closing, Zulu? You define?
No, Barbara, ukisikia that kind of advice, sema hapa simulate hapa kwako nampeleka kwangu.
Nilikuwa tuna kuinform.
Yes.
Oh,
never let go of your lover because your parents are in the history. This lover is in the future. Please value the future more. It's better to use diplomacy, deception, delay, back and play, hide and seek to make sure you still marry that person. Even if you don't do a wedding, you marry quietly and you start living. When you get 3 kids, they will be forced to accept.
My goodness me. Benjamin, I would want you to come in the studio in flesh. We have so much to cover. I hope COVID becomes kinder as we go along so that you find time and just come here and talk to us.
I'll be very glad to do that.
Yes, unfortunately, that is all the time we had. And thank you so much. If somebody wants to find you, Benjamin, where are you on? Do you have a phone number or are you on social media?
All social media platforms, Benjamin Zulu KE. And email is benjaminzuluke@gmail. Thank you so much.
Oh, fantastic. And again, thank you for finding time to just hang out with us. We really appreciate you. Barbara is waving. I don't know if you can see her. Barbara, unajua ni Mluya anapenda kusalamia watu. Thank you so much, Bwana Zulu. Asante sana. Asante sana. Now, if you have a question, you want to head over to Zulu's page and just ask Zulu directly. He's very gracious and kind. And I think on behalf of Mumbi, I can say that we plan to bring him here in flesh, in tentative shows. Just we have a conversation about all these matters that keep bothering us in regards to relationships, Barbara. Barbara umesikia unadefy mama. What do you feel about that?
I actually agree with him, but you know that I've seen people, especially some of our listeners, who are very staunch and keen, and you've seen some of their comments that if my mother says no, it's a no. I also don't believe that. Your mother has married your father or is in a different life. You're living your life.
Yes.
And that wife is not going to be your mother's or your father's wife.
Yes.
That is your husband or that is your wife.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, the point he made about how difficult it is to come around finding somebody who you actually get along with, because it's very difficult.
It's hard.
I was thinking about it the other day, that you are dating somebody you actually gel with. Even you, if you sat down with a pen and a paper and counted the relationship that you take as one being quality relationships, I'm sure you can count them with maybe one finger.
Yes.
You know, or one hand and have a lot of fingers remaining. So it's always very interesting. Remember, the conversation is going on with you. Poor dating advice from friends and even parents that you must unlearn, discard, or ignore is a conversation. We are on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at SpiceFMKE is our social media handle, and 40127 is our SMS short code. Please familiarize with all of our social media handles. While at it, give us a follow. I see a phone call from Garissa. 0719012600 is the number to save on your phone. As we go along, Barbara and I are going to be picking all of your phone calls and chatting with you, responding to your questions, and even just hearing your comments about this conversation. We love that you take time to do that. Now, Barbara, also we are going to be looking at some of the feedback online, aren't we?
Yes.
Yeah, so keep all of those coming. It's exactly 9 o'clock. We are the adults in the room. Good evening.
Spice.